we're going to be talking about right now. We're going to review 1979 Salem's Lot. We're going to kind of push through these a little bit to get to the new one, the 2024. So what we want to do is we watched all of them, all of the movies, 79, 2004, 2024, which consequently is pretty awesome because in 79, you get Salem's Lot. Exactly. Was it 35 years later, you get, was it? Yeah, 79 to 2004, 25 years later. So 25 years later, you get the remake, and now 20 years later after that, you get the remake. So like I like how it's rounding out a little bit. But this is a really good story. I remember really liking the book back when I was a kid. It was scary. Like, it was good Stephen King. Like, he was really, like, this is one of his really early ones. And I always enjoyed it. And the thing I love about it is this movie, Salem's Lot, the 79, it does such a good job of encapsulating all of the elements Stephen King loves to put in his books. And that's the community, you know, all the inner circle, like, dealings and things like this, and the rumors and blah, blah, blah. I love that aspect. And the movies that, you know, really, like, capture that in them, I think do well. So this is one of my favorites. For you, Paul, how do you feel about it? Was this your first time watch?
No. Okay. I really love this one. This is probably my favorite out of all of them. That 2024 is almost runner up, but I still think this one holds true because am I allowed to talk about some of the differences? Just
yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure. To me, this
spoiler at this point, people.
So this one's the most real to me because you can see that the climate is different. So the main vampire, when he throws that kid against the wall, like, it's very forceful, it's very rough, like you can tell like he's like threatening him hardcore, and you can kind of see how in the other movies it gets a little different in how they portray that. You know, it's still, oh yeah, you know, you don't want the vampire to get you, and when he gets you it's bad, but this one, it just seems very violent, so it was okay to, you know, show that much kind of violence and hate on screen. And it's kind of gotten dummied down a little bit with some of the other Salem Lot. I'm not saying, you know, oh, there's no blood in the others or anything like that, but this one was just very, I don't know the correct word, but
no, I get it.
This one's my favorite just because it's set up that way, and it's very set up just to make you almost feel like helpless because you're like, yeah, I could take the vampire next door. Then it's like, no, I couldn't. I could not.
Dude, I did. I really enjoyed this movie. This is probably my favorite of it too. I mean, we both gave it a rating of 4 out of 5. It holds up. I didn't watch it until the 90s when the VHS came out and you got to 2 VHS tapes. Yeah, even like with the 2004, it was 2 DVDs, you know, and I have the DVDs. So, you know, I like all versions of this. The 79 version is actually the first Stephen King adapted miniseries.
Okay.
And now, if you know anything about Stephen King, he's had a lot of those. So, and it aired in CBS in 1979. And it was just one of those movies that was like so different. You know, you didn't like, yeah, I'm not saying they didn't have horror-esque movies or horror movies even sometimes as TV movies or miniseries, but not like this. This was pretty scary. Kids were involved, things like that. This was a whole new element. And they did such a great job with it. I think, in my opinion, story-wise, this is the best version of all. That might change. But yeah, so I did like this. Let's move on to the next one because I don't want to get bogged down on any individual one except the new one. 2004 Salem's Lots. Yeah, I'm super excited for this one. So I like this version. I liked this a lot. This is one I remember when this came out and I watched it live. I thought it was well acted. I thought it was well adapted from the original and the book. Because they took more out of the book than the original did, or not maybe took more out of the book. They actually did because there's some narration in it, but which I wasn't too keen on, but whatever. They took more from the book and built more off of the book, I should say. And they did a really good job with it, I thought. I do really enjoy this version. I would love to hear what you think of it.
I enjoyed this version. I feel like this is probably my least favorite of the 3.
Really? Okay.
I think it might just be, I mean, I did just rewatch it, but I think even at that time when this one came out and the reruns that they would do on TNT of this, I just didn't care for it because they kind of lost me in the story. Like the original Salem's Lot, I could watch that at, you know, say 9 to 13 years old and still enjoy it. But this one, it felt talkied for whatever reason. So
I got you.
It kind of lost. Yeah. It just kind of lost me a little bit. I love Sutherland. All the acting is solid in this. After rewatching it recently, yes, I like it, but I still think if I were to suggest one, I'd still go with the original above this one, and this one would be number 2 for me.
See, James Mason in the original is so menacing, and I liked it. And the vampire for the time, like he's goofy now, but going for like a Nosferatu thing, something a little different that worked on TV. But it just, this movie had such great villains. Donald Sutherland as Straker, and even changing it up from the monstrous look, which we go back to in the 2024 version of Barlow, to Rutger Hauer.
Right.
I was like, they played it so well, and they were pretty dark. In fact, my one biggest gripe about this movie would be that there wasn't enough Rutger Hauer.
Okay.
I thought Donald Sutherland was in it quite a bit, and he did a great job. Knocked it out of the park. Very creepy. In fact, might be my favorite Straker on screen, with James Mason being second. The freaking what's his name from Game of Thrones, whatever. But we'll get there. So let's give our ratings for this one. But yeah, I do really enjoy this. I try to rewatch this maybe every 10 years or so. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5, and you gave it a 3 out of 5. So. Yeah, I still think people should check it out. If you're on a kick for Salem's Lot, I think this is a good one to kind of check out as well. Because there's a lot of adaptations. So let's thank you for watching this one, and let's check out our next one, and that is Scene Snobs Review Salem's Lot 2024. What'd you think of this one, Paul? Spoilers.
I immensely have been enjoying this one. It gives me hope for them doing a Pennywise, because they did it right. They kept it dark. They didn't add too many crazy elements. I always get nervous with any HBO things because, as we all know, whether we want to admit it or not, they really like throwing in sex and adding shit that doesn't necessarily belong into it. So I was sitting there worried that they were going to make some of the scenes over the top sexual or things like that. And I was going to be like, fuck. But I think they did it right. The coloring's right. It kind of reminded me of James Wong's original, or not original, but first Conjuring. Like, it kind of has that feel to it and stuff. So I was very glued in the second I turned it on. Action's good. The vampire, it's very believable. And you're like, oh shit, like what's going to happen? I think they did it right. This gave me hope about them kind of redoing a lot of these things.
Well, I will tell you, this is my second. I watched it twice now. Let's just say when it first came out, and I watched it for Sunday Scares on Sunday, and I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. It's my least favorite of these three.
Okay.
And honestly, if I'm throwing in Return to Salem's Lot, or Return to Jerusalem's Lot, it's my fourth, because I love that fucking movie. I love Larry Cohen and I love Michael Moriarty, and I will watch campy 80s vampire movie that tries to be Salem's Lot so bad over anything. I love it. It's so good. So anyway, fourth. It'll be fourth. But I liked it. I liked this movie. Every part that is adapted from either the book, which this seems like it was kind of more adapted from the book than the original movie, but it hit right. And on top of that, so like all of those scenes, like the scenes with in the morgue, with that was a great adaptation. You had to shorten it. You had to shorten your characters that you have. And Alfred Woodard is just great and everything. But I liked Lewis Pullman as Ben Mears in this. Like, I liked everybody in it. My problem was it was I don't think it was done right. And the reason that it wasn't done right is because you have all of these adaptations. Now, you not just throw in 1979 or 2004, or even like the sequel, the off sequel that's not really anything like it. You also have Chapelthwaite, which is a TV show, which is a direct. It takes place back in like turn of the century 1900s, 18 to 1900s, but it is a direct adaptation of Salem's Lot. And in my opinion, the absolute best adaptation of Salem's Lot is Midnight Mass. Midnight Mass on Netflix is brilliant. Is brilliant. Like, if you're going to watch anything and try and understand, and it's the craziest part. Now I understand why it's called Crockett's Island in that thing. There's so many Easter eggs for these movies. Not this one, but the other two movies in this, in the Midnight Mass. Which, again, if you do like Salem's Lot, and I realize I'm pitching you a TV show over a movie that I'm supposed to be reviewing, but that tells you something. Watch this. have fun. It's a fun monster movie.
Yeah.
It's a good, quick vampire movie with some plot holes and no real character build or town build. That's the one thing I think really misses in this, is like the town is a character and you hear the stories of the town, and the Marston house is important, and they don't even end it there. They ended it at a fucking, which I get with the budget constraints and stuff like that, and I love the drive-in. Burn down the goddamn Marston house at least. Oh my god. Anyway, yeah, let's give our ratings for this one. So I gave it a 3, you gave it a 3.5. I do say check it out. I think if you're a horror fan, you'll really like it. Yeah, check that out. Let us know what you think. Sound off. We would love to hear it. I did like it. It's just anything after Midnight Mass just isn't the same. I love that it wasn't a direct rip. It wasn't a direct rip. It wasn't a direct adaptation because it couldn't be. He made up his own shit, and it's somehow the best.
Yeah.
No wonder he's directing Dark Tower. Dark Tower is going to be better than Stephen King wrote it when the show comes out. I believe
so,
that about
that
Mike
movie
Flanagan.
sucked.
You can't count the movies. King has nothing to do with it. And they didn't adapt it right. And don't worry, when the show comes out for review, we're not watching the movie. Here's the funny thing. I didn't read the books, and I didn't mind the movie because I didn't understand it. Definitely understand that. Definitely get it now. And robbed. I'll just say that. But thank you. That's been our review of all the Salem's lots and our comparison. But let's talk about Mick's movie pick from 1925. But I want to thank our sponsors. Thank you to all our sponsors of this video: Entertainment or Shopify, Sticker Mule, StubHub, Skillshare, and Noom. All my links are down below in the description. Please go check them out. We really appreciate you guys for sponsoring the show and hanging out with us. And guys, if you see any of the designs we're wearing, stuff like that, you can check them out over on snobsmerch.com. We have more. We have Star Trek stuff, movie stuff, all types of stuff.